Aloha everyone and welcome to Aquarian Radio at aquarianradio.com. This is an episode of Enki Speaks, a part of the Aquarian Radio Network. I am your host, Janet Carroll Lesson, with my co-host, anthropologist, Dr. Sasha Lesson. And this is a program in the series called The Anunnaki and Us, 30 chapters of our history from 4.5 billion years ago to 311 BCE. And today's program is Chapter 18, which is entitled Galzu and Enki Thwarted Enlil's Edict of the Flood That Will Kill Us All. The flood kills us all. And now, here is your co-host, Dr. Sasha Lesson.
Around 54,000 BCE or so, Enki, chief scientist for the gold mining expedition from the planet Nibiru to Earth, secretly begat Ziusudra, whom we know as Noah, with Batanash, who was the wife of his overseer of Iraq, a fellow named Lumah. Around 14,600 BCE, Uranus drifted away from the sun and sped Neptune toward Earth sooner than the 3,600 years that Nibiru had been orbiting before. As Nibiru flew by, Uranus caught Miranda, which was a moon of Nibiru, and Miranda now became a moon of Uranus, and it's circling Uranus now instead of Nibiru. Anyway, Uranus sped Nibiru's orbit to 3,450 Earth years, sped it up, rather than the 3,600 that it had been going. Now, when Nibiru reached its most distant point from Earth, debris that was furthest from Nibiru, its 190-degree Lagrange point, created a sudden warming of Earth's northern oceans. This Lagrange point's nearing Earth may have been what started the ice melting on Earth. Or Nibiru itself could have been crossing at this time between Mars and Jupiter. We don't know. In any case, Earthlings' living standard got really worse, much worse, and we regressed to living in caves and in the bush, and each generation's life was becoming harder and harder. Drought, plague, and starvation stalked us Earthlings. Our crops dried up. We starved. Plagues killed many. Diseases overcame the humans. But Nimrod said, let the Earthlings curing teach, how themselves to remedy, to learn.
And they'll refuse. Let the earthlings by hunger and pestilence perish. In his mind, the stay of the Anunnaki on Earth was nearing an end, and he would rather wipe out all life before they departed for Nibiru. Nothing grew, and winds, heat, and drought haunted them. Tremors and quakes became regular events. Enki implored Enlil, let us show the dredging of ponds and canals for surviving drought and famine. But the commander responded, Marduk, your eldest, the Igigi, and the armies. The astronauts breed with the daughters of Adapa. Challenge me. No ponds, no canals. For Marduk, no more soldiers. Let the Earthlings starve, everyone. When we, sated with Earth's gold, to Nibiru return, leave no Earthling subject for Marduk, no force for him, the home planet to invade. The Earthlings at Shurbuk, where Ziusudra lived, sent Ziusudra to Enki at the Persian Gulf for help. Enki said he couldn't openly help, but advised covertly. The policy of Enlil, protest, worship of the gods, boycott. Enki secretly fed the Earthlings from his corn. He showed them how to get and to fish the seas. When Enlil said Enki defied the decree that Earthlings starve, Enki said he didn't know how Earthlings learned how to saltwater fish.
When Enki ruined Enlil's attempt to starve out the Earthlings, Enlil instead waited for the next perigee, when Nibiru's approach to Earth would create a great flood. Just before that, Enlil planned, Nibirans would quit Earth with all the gold they needed. Well, Nergal warned of a flood, one that would kill off all of us troublesome slaves, and hide the fact that we ever existed. Nergal reported from Ereshkigal Station on Africa's tip, quotes, "The Antarctic ice sheet built speed as it slid toward the South Sea. When Nibiru reaches closest to Earth, the ice sheet will slip into the South Sea and push out mountainous waves. The waves will bounce off each other and land masses, and it'll combine in many ways, and the waters will cover all Earth except for the great peaks." When King Anu and the Council on Nibiru got Nergal's report, they beamed to Earth. Quotes, "For evacuating Earth and Mars, prepare. In Abzu, in Africa, the gold mines shut down. From there, the Anunnaki came to the Eden. The smelting and refining ceased. All the gold was taken off to Nibiru, and then empty, ready for evacuation, a fleet of celestial chariots, rockets, came to Earth."
One spaceship that came for gold, an Anunnaki returning to the home planet, brought the mysterious white-haired Galzu. He is known as the Great Knower. Galzu ceremoniously deplaned and presented a sealed message from Anu to Enki, Enlil, and Nimma. Quote, "Enlil, the seal of Anu examined, unbroken and authentic it was, its encoding trustworthy. For king and council Galzu speaks. His words are my commands." So did the message of Anu state. "I am Galzu, emissary plenipotentiary of king and council to Enlil," said the mysterious visitor. Galzu told Nimma, "Of the same school and age we are." This Nimma could not recall. The emissary was as young as a son. She was as his olden mother. Galzu told her she had aged, and he hadn't because she and her brothers lived on Earth so long. He said they would die if they returned to Nibiru. Their bodies had become adapted to Earth and could survive Nibiru's gravity. Galzu lied. "The three of you on Earth will remain, only to die. To Nibiru you will return. Nimma and her brothers must," he said, "orbit Earth in rockets when the ice sheet sped waves over the planet. When the waters calmed to live, they must return to Earth." Commander Enlil read the rest of the order Galzu said he brought from King Anu. "To each of the other Anunnaki, a choice to leave or the calamity outwait must be given. The Igigi, who Earthlings espouse, must between departure and spouses choose. No Earthling, Marduk, Sarpanit included, to Nibiru to journey is allowed. For all who stay and what happens see in celestial chariots, they safety must seek."
Enlil convened the Anunnaki Council, the leaders' sons and their grandchildren, and the commanders of the Igigi. Enlil decreed that the Earthlings must drown in this deluge. Well, Enki objected. "A wondrous being by us was created. By us it must be saved," Enki shouted to Enlil. Enlil roared back, "To primitive workers knowing you endowed. The powers of the creator of all into your hands you've taken. With fornication, Adapa you conceived. Understanding to his line you gave. His offspring to the heavens you have taken. Our wisdom with them you've shared. Every rule you've broken, decisions and commands you ignored. Because of you, a civilized earthling brother, Abel, and a brother, Cain, murdered. And because of Marduk, your son, and the Igigi like him, with earthlings intermarried. The earthlings must drown," Enlil said. He demanded that Enki and all the Nibiruns on Earth swear that they would not warn us of our coming death. Well, Enki refused to swear. He and Marduk stamped out of the council. Enlil brought the council back to order. The astronauts with the Dapite wives and children, he decreed, must move to the peaks above the waves. He, Enki, Nimma, their sons, daughters, and descendants would orbit Earth. Marduk must shelter on Mars base, and Nanar must shelter on the moon. When the waters receded, then the leaders and their kin would return to Earth.
Enki and Nimma buried their records and computer programs in diorite crypts under the rocket platform in Lebanon. Underground, they made genetic banks to save Earth's creatures from the flood. Male and female essences and life eggs they collected, of each kind 2 by 2 they collected for safekeeping while in Earth's circuit to be taken, thereafter the living kinds to recombine. Enki dreamed, Galzu spoke, quote, into your hands, fate take, for the earthlings the earth inherit. Summon your son Ziasudra without breaking the oath, swearing not to tell the earthlings to him the coming calamity reveal, a boat that the watery avalanche can withstand, a submersible one to build him tell, the likes of which on this tablet to you I am showing. Let him in it save himself and his kinfolk, and the seed of all that is useful, be it plant or animal, also take. That is the will of the Creator of all. Enki woke and pondered his dream. He stepped out of bed and kicked an actual physical computer file, one he had not put there, next to his bed. The file showed how to build a submersible craft in which Ziasudra and his followers could ride out the deluge. Enki searched his home and grounds for Galzu, but didn't find him. None except Enki, in the dream, had seen Galzu. That night to the reed hut where Ziasudra was sleeping, Enki stealthily went, the oath not breaking, the Lord Enki, not to Ziasudra, but to the hut's wall, which is a computer bank, spoke from behind the reed wall. In an ancient drawing you can see on our site, which is enkispeaks.com, Galzu tells Enki, his snake icon, via his snake icon. What is that, honey?
Well, it means that it's got Enki on top, up from the waist up, and then it shows a snake underneath him for his body, so that a person looking at this Sumerian seal knows that that refers to Enki.
Okay.
They each have their symbols, and his is this snake.
So Galzu tells Enki to warn Ziasudra. Galzu aims Enki's hand to send the file to Ziasudra's computer wall.
You got to see this thing on the website. It really shows you.
The disk leaves Enki's hand en route to Ziasudra's computer. When Ziasudra by the words awakened, Enki said, a calamitous storm will sweep. The destruction of mankind it will be. This is the decision of the assembly by Enlil convened. Abandon thy house, Ziasudra. Build a boat. Its design and measurements on the file you see on your wall. A boat guide named Ninagal to you will come. To a safe haven the boat guide will navigate you. By you shall the seed of civilized man survive. Not to you, Enki concluded, not to you, Ziasudra, have I spoken, but to the wall did I speak.
Ziasudra and his community built the sub. Ziasudra, as Enki told him to do, told Enlil, I'm devoting myself to Enki. Actually, Enlil didn't know that Enki was really the father of Ziasudra. Ziasudra just said he was a devotee. He was the king of the area. He said he'd finish the boat, and then he'd sail his community out of Enlil's hair down to Africa near Enki. Well, Enlil, thinking Ziasudra and the earthlings devoted to Enki would just drown in the coming flood. Let him and let Ziasudra's workers keep building. And let them leave Sumer. Let them sail to Africa. They'll die there in the flood, he thought. Well, Enki prepared for the waves. Before they hit, Enki sent his son Ninagal with boxes to Ziasudra, and the boxes held DNA, sperm, and ova, the life essence and life eggs of living creatures it contains, by the Lord Enki and Nimma collected, from the wrath of Enlil to be hidden, to life resurrect, if earth be willing. So this is what they had in the boat, and you'll see they also had stuff hidden underground. Ningishita prepared for the waves too. He inscribed the ancient wisdom on 2 great pillars, and he hid the sacred objects and scrolls inside these pillars. Then, 13,000 years ago, quote, in the white land, at the earth's bottom, off its foundation the ice sheet slipped. By Nibiru's net force, it was pulled into the South Sea. A tidal wave arose, northward spreading. The tidal wave, several hundred meters high, moved northward from Antarctica at 500 kilometers per hour, like a giant circle around the world. It destroyed all lands lower than 2,000 meters above sea level. The boat of Ziasutra, quote, the tidal wave from its moorings lifted, then plunged beneath the raging waves. Though completely submerged, not a drop of water into it did enter. For 40 days, waves and storms swept Earth, drowning everything on the planet except those on mountaintops and in Ziasutra's boat. Ninagal surfaced, raised sail, and steered to Mount Ararat in Turkey.
The orbiting Anunnaki surveyed the flood results. Enlil the survivors saw Enki's son Ninagal among them. Every earthling had to perish, he with fury shouted. At Enki with anger he lunged. To kill his brother with his bare hands he was ready. Ninagal messaged Nimma and Ninurta. Bring your whirlers down quick. He is no mere mortal. My son he is, Enki to Ziasudra, pointing. To a wall, said Enki, I spoke, not Ziasudra. Ninurta and Nimma restrained the raging commander. Enki told him that he had seen Galzu in a dream, then when he awoke, found next to his bed a file that showed how Ziasudra should build the sub. Together, Enki, Ninurta, and Nimma convinced Enlil the survival of mankind, the will of the creator of all, must be.
When the floodwaters receded, they left the uplands intact, but left the spaceport at Sippar and all of Sumer and the African mines under mud and under silt. Earthlings at the low elevations had all drowned. Less than 1,000 Earthlings dug alive from the mountain caves of the world. They dug out to a world of mud that was ruined for gathering and hunting after a while because everything was disrupted. The people with Ziasutra on Mount Ararat and the hybrid Ijiji Earthling families who fled to Mesopotamia's mountains, as well as the descendants of Kayin in the Peruvian refinery and spaceport, all lived through the flood. The Nibiruans in charge of the Andean spaceport and refining facilities helped the Andean survivors repopulate the continent, and they even sent more settlers to the Americas. In North America, the Hopi remember a handful of their ancestors were flood survivors, and they had to dig out of cave shelters and start all over. All the Anunnaki built in the last 432,000 years before the flood was buried under miles of thick mud. Of their settlements, only the stone landing platform at Baalbek in Lebanon survived intact.
I have a couple maybe questions. So Ziasudra's, it's Marduk's wife, Sarpanit. Did she go to Mars with him, do you think, or did she go to the high in the mountains?
I don't know.
But we know she survived because she died of a ripe old age, so that's a mystery. And who told Nanar to go to the moon? Was that the council, or was that Enki?
No, that's Enlil gives the orders on Earth.
Okay, so...
But if Anu told him, he absolutely always went with his father, even if he let his father overrule him.
So Anu told who?
Anu said, "Look, I will not let you kill my former astronauts, and if they want to stay with their wives and the clans they begat, you've got to warn them. I'm not going to let you just drown them. They must be warned, given the opportunity of either getting off the planet and coming back, or just going to the high places. But no Earthling, and certainly not Sarpanit." Because with Marduk, because this is the rivals that actually have a dynastic right to supersede Anu as far as they're concerned, because Alalu and Anu had made a deal that Marduk would succeed Alalu as the next king of Nibiru. But Alalu was killed, put in exile to die by Anu, and Anu became the next king, not Marduk. So Marduk had a right, the way he looked at it, to be king of Nibiru. But here he was stuck on Earth, and his job, he had at least had a job as commander of Mars base, wasn't anymore because the base got ruined by the atmospheric disturbances. And so this is going to get deeper as we follow the story.
Right, and so the what do I want to say? The flood also, whatever was causing the flood, which was it was Nibiru's return at that point, right?
Yes,
was causing havoc on Mars and Moon, but they had to write it out there. But they didn't expect flooding on Mars and Moon. They just knew that it was going to wreak havoc with the inner solar system.
They had already been there. This had happened. It was getting worse and worse and worse, and so that Mars base was closed way before the flood because it kept getting closer. Whatever these messes were that were kept going, it was like the entire inner solar system. Something like that may be happening now. Actually, Andy Lloyd was saying is moving closer and closer to Solaris, and so everything's heating up right now.
Right. And then the politics was that Anu had made this agreement for his grandson, Marduk, but he did not like Alalu, or he did not intend any descendants with Alalu's blood actually ruling anything.
Yeah, he unilaterally abrogated a treaty he had entered into.
Right, so, and he figured the guy's dead, but, so that was the conflict, and then poor Marduk's in the middle, and he's like, I'm your grandson, and sometimes grandfather Anu would save him, but other times he just wasn't supporting him, so that's probably why Marduk got pissed off and went a little bit crazy. Okay, I think that's about it for today. That was our chapter 18 on Noah's flood, and our next show is Chapter 19 is 1,000 Years of Peace and Cooperation. Boy, that would be nice if we could do that here on planet Earth at this time.
Satayuga.
The Satayuga. And our books, Anunnaki Gods No More, Anunnaki Legacy of the Gods, Dance of the Souls, Book 1, Pierce the Veil. Dance of the Souls is autobiographical. It's my story. No one's going to believe it, but read it and enjoy. And it's only part 1. I realized writing it that to take it...
Who is this no one that's going to believe it?
I don't know. Do you believe it, honey? Yes, my honey believes my book.
But no one is really famous. I think he's my congressman. Whenever I need somebody to really stand up for me, I can count on no one.
No one will stand up for me except for no one. Okay. So let's see what else. Oh, our websites, enkispeaks.com, ENKISPEAKS.com. Sister site is nimma.com. I'm putting more and more stuff up on that one. I haven't quite played with it the way I want to. And we have extraterrestrialcontact.com. And its sister site is experiencersnetwork.com. And let's see what else. Oh, Aquarian Radio has all these shows archived. And just to let the listeners know, we use 2 major platforms, which is Spreaker. So we may not get all of our shows up on Aquarian Radio because we're getting more and more busy. So go to Spreaker.com, which is SPREAKER.com/Aquarian Radio. And you can see an archive of many of our radio shows there. And the other platform we use is Blog Talk. And you can go to blogtalk.com/Aquarian Radio, and you'll see a lot more radio shows there.
We're also on Revolution Radio.
And our show, Revolution Radio, it's called The Sacred Matrix, and we broadcast live on Revolution Radio Sundays from 8 to 10 Eastern Time. And I think that's good enough for today. So thank you. Much love and aloha and blessings from Janet Care Lesson and
this is Dr. Sasha Lesson.
Right.
I advocate no further invasion of Iraq and withdrawal from Afghanistan on this day. Remember, don't do it.
Peace out.